Hey guys, I'm going to try a video without a script for once, so let me know how you like the unscripted version compared to what I usually do. But today I'm going to be addressing a claim that I've been coming across a lot lately. In fact, it was even made by a non-stamp collector in the video I just responded to. But people have been arguing that Jesus thinks that we should still be under the Old Covenant. And they always quote from the same passage, either Matthew 5:17 or 5:18, which are both saying the same thing. Matthew 5:17 says, "Do not think that I've come to abolish the law or the prophets. I've not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." So when people read this, they come across the word law, and they think Mosaic law, or Old Covenant. And when they come across that phrase, or the prophets, just kind of ignore that. And then that would make that passage mean, I've not come to abolish the Old Covenant, but to fulfill it. Which seems like a fair enough interpretation, unless you're familiar with Jewish culture. Because in Hebrew, the word for Old Testament means Tanakh. And Tanakh is composed of 3 parts. I'm about to butcher some Hebrew pronunciation, so I'll use some subtitles on the screen. But the 3 parts are the Torah, which is the law, and that's the first 5 books of the Bible. And then you have the nevi'im, which is the prophets, the books written by prophets. Those are pretty much all the books that are named after somebody in the Old Testament. And the ketuvim is the last category. That means the writings. That's pretty much everything else that's in the Old Testament. So Tanakh is kind of like a phonetic acronym. Tanakh would be TNK, and TNK would be the Torah, the nevi'im, and ketuvim. Or in English, that would be the law, prophets, and writings. So anytime you come across the phrase, the law, prophets, and writings, or the law and the prophets, you realize that's referring to the Tanakh, or Old Testament. So knowing that, let's go back and look at Matthew 5:17. Now that would be telling us that Jesus didn't come to abolish the Old Testament, but to fulfill it. And in part of fulfilling the Old Testament, he'd be fulfilling prophecies, like found in Jeremiah 31:31-34, that talks about establishing a new covenant. So ironically, the very same verse people are trying to use to say Jesus thinks we should be under the Old Covenant is one of the very same verses that I would argue, properly understood, shows us that Jesus is establishing a new covenant. As always, test everything, hold on to the good.